Alright, today we're going to balance chemical equations, and I'm going to start out with a simple one. My recommendation is that you make yourself a little chart as you balance an equation, and the little chart's purpose will be simply to compare the number of elements that you have on both sides of your chemical equation. So for the first one, I have aluminum and I have oxygen. Those are my two elements, and I'm going to draw a line here, and I'm going to make what I call just a little T-chart. On the left side, I have one aluminum, and on the right, I have two. On the left, I have two oxygens, and on the right, I have three. You can look at your little T-chart and see that the two sides aren't even. It's a little bit easier to make a 1 become a 2 than a 2 to become a 3. So, but I also realize that if I change my aluminums, that's an easy fix. To make this become 3 oxygens isn't going to be something that's feasible. So a common multiple would be the best way to make the oxygens become equal to one another. So 2 and 3 will both equal 6 if I multiply the 2 by 3 and the 3 by a 2. So I'm going to put a 3 in front of this oxygen, and I'm going to put a 2 in front of Al2O3. The 3 will multiply the 2 and give me 6 oxygens. The 2 will multiply the 3 oxygens and give me 6. So my oxygens are now 6 and 6. When I put the 2 there, that changes my aluminum to 4 aluminums. Well, if I have 1 on this side, I can easily multiply by 4 and have that become 4 aluminums and 4 aluminums. So now I have 4 and 4, 6 and 6. Alright, for another problem here, here's another one. Al plus HCl makes AlCl3 and H2. So to do this one, I'm going to make another chart. I have aluminum, and I have hydrogen, and I have chlorine. And I'm going to make my little T-chart off my paper here. I have 1 aluminum on the left, and I have 1 aluminum on the right. I have 1 hydrogen on the left, and I have 2 hydrogens on the right. I have 3 chlorines, and I have 1 chlorine, and I have 3 chlorines. So I have 2 things that aren't equal over here. It doesn't really matter to me which one I pick, but I'm gonna start with the chlorines. If I put a 3 here in front of that, then that gives me 3 chlorines. But it also kind of creates some other issues for me because it gives me 3 hydrogens. So now I've got too many hydrogens on the left-hand side, and I've only got 2 on the right-hand side. So a couple different things that you could do. One of the easier things to do that I like to do with my problems is I can multiply 2 by something that equals 3. If I do 2 times 1.5, that equals 3. So one of the things that you can do is I can put 1.5 here for a minute, and that'll make 3 hydrogens on that side, and everything looks balanced. 1 and 1, 3 and 3, 3 and 3. The only issue is I can't keep 1.5. But I can get rid of a half by doubling everything. So if I come back over here and multiply everything by 2, the 1 that's here will become a 2, this will become a 6, this will become a 2, and that will become a 3. Everything should be balanced. We can go back through and double check. I have 2 aluminums on the left, and I have 2 aluminums on the right. I have 6 hydrogens now on the left, and I have 3 times 2 is 6 on the right, and I'm off my little chart over here. I have 6 chlorines, and I have 2 times 3, I have 6 chlorines. So that made everything balance. Here's another one that may work in a similar way. I have carbon monoxide plus hydrogen makes C8H18 and H2O. This has oxygens, hydrogens, carbons. We'll see if it's easier, if it's not. I've got carbon, oxygen, and hydrogen and a class change. I've got 1 carbon versus 8. I have 1 oxygen versus 1. And then I've got 2 hydrogens versus 18. So obviously I'm going to have to make my, oops, I'm sorry, I can leave it as that. I have 18 plus 2 if you would like for me to break it down. And I realize you can't see my numbers over here. There we go. Because I've got the 2 right there. I about forgot them. So it's easy to make the 8 carbons over here if I put an 8 in front. And that also gives me 8 oxygens. To make 8 oxygens on the right, I'd have to put an 8 in front of that to multiply those. But then that also gives me 16 hydrogens, so 18 plus 16 instead of 18 plus 2. That gives me a grand total of, 34 oxygens. Well, I can make 2 times 17 equal 34. So if I put 17 in there, that should fix me. That gives me 34 on that side, and that gives me 18 plus 16, which is 34. And I have 8, 17, 1, and 8. Here's another example of something that can happen when you balance equations. Let's see, I'm going to choose this one. Sometimes you have polyatomic ions that are in equations, like SO4 is a polyatomic ion, so is OH, there's SO4 again. And if you think of H2O as H and OH, it's in there as well. So when you have polyatomic ions, if you will think of them together, you can make life a little bit easier. I've got hydrogen, sulfur, oxygen, lead, and that's it. So it's going to become a lot of work to break it down this way, but I can do it if I want to. It's just going to make a lot of things be split up. It's much easier if I see it that here I have 1 SO4 and here I have 2. And that I need to make 2 SO4s. And here I have 4 OHs, and over here I just have 1. So I need to make 4 OHs. And if I make 4 OHs and the 2 SO4s, let's see how things stack up. I have 8 hydrogens there, and 4 times 2 is 8 hydrogens there. I'm counting those separately from the OH minuses. I've got 1 lead and 1 lead. I should be balanced. If you want to count them up individually, then you're going to have a lot more counting to do. There's 8 hydrogens, there's 4, so there's 12 on the left. There's 8 plus another 4. Well, actually, no, just kidding. This isn't going to work out that way, is it? What am I doing? I don't know why I'm saying that there's 8 hydrogens. There's 4, and then there's 4, so there's 8 hydrogens on that side. There's 8 right there. I have a brain fart caught on camera. There's 2 sulfurs and 2 sulfurs. There's 8 oxygens. There's another 4. There's 12. There's 8 and another 4. So there's 12. There's 1 lead and there's 1 lead. It's easy to get confused when you're doing these. If you do, just erase your coefficients and start back over again.